Welcome back. Today I want to do a review on the Acme text editor that I've been using for the breakout game that we've been making for nanogames. I'll go over a little bit of the history, the features, and the things I like and don't like. So for the history, Acme was created by Robert Pike for the Plan 9 operating system in the early 90s, I believe. And it is designed to essentially be a one-stop shop for doing things inside Plan 9. So not only can it do text editing, but it can have a terminal inside of it. You can have a file viewer inside of it. You can do all these things. So it's very reminiscent of what Visual Studio Code is today. So I'll go over some of the features, and one of the first ones I'll do here is moving windows. So if you left drag from this little corner box here, you can drag windows from one pane or one column to another. And if you drag, you can actually drag a column and resize a column as well, like this. And then you can create new columns by middle clicking. Oh, this is a new thing. So if you want to run a command, you middle click it with a middle mouse button. Pretty much everything in Acme is run through a 3-button mouse. So if I do a middle click here, it opens a third column, and it always opens it on this side over here. So we can resize things and have another column that we're working with. If we middle click del call, that will delete the column. So there we go. The other thing that we can do is if we have this file viewer here, this viewer, since we're just looking at a folder, that will list the files in the folder. And if we say right-click main, that will actually open up main.go, and we can move it over here. So that's very useful. We can also middle-click new, and that will just create a new file for us. So if we move that over here, notice that this is just a temporary file. It's not stored anywhere. We can, but we can make it something. Let's see, something. And let's say that we want to save it. We want to save it in our project. Well, what we can do is highlight this. We're going to highlight the breakout. And then if we middle click snarf, that's essentially the same as copy. And if we hold down left click and right click at the same time, then that will paste. So that's essentially all of this has to be done with the mouse. If we say test.go, we now have a file, and notice it has this put command here. So if we middle click put, that will actually save the file. And if we go over here to the right side and we middle click get, that will actually show us our test file that appeared. Another thing that we can do is we can actually execute any command by highlighting it. So if I want to build the project, I can say go build here inside this text file. And if I highlight this and middle click it, that will actually build the file. Now it doesn't look like it built anything, but if I say make a mistake inside here and save the mistake and I do a build, it will actually open this panel over here, this window, and say that, hey, there's an error. And this is just a normal compile error. And if I right-click this error, the file, it will actually open up the file. And if the file is not opened up, it'll open it up and highlight the line that was that has the error. So let's say that I close this file, and I have a bunch of other things open. I've got design and geometry, and I've got those things open over here. And I right-click main because I tried to build. Then it will open up main here. And it opens it up to the line that I want to look at. Now let's say I want to look at main, just main itself. I can right-click this corner box, and it maximizes that window. So now I can look and update my thing. So let's say EBIT 10, I think that's correct. So we can do that. And if I want to look at the rest of my files that were minimized, I can left click this button here, and notice here they all are again. And I can open things up. I can drag them, or I can left click them multiple times and that will open them up. And I can middle click go build. And since nothing happened, it actually built successfully. The other thing that I might want to do is maybe I want to delete this test.go file. So I'm just going to close this test.go file by saying del. And then what I'm going to do is to show that I can run a command anywhere, I'll type a brand new command up here, and I'll say I'm going to remove test.go. And if I highlight this and middle click it, that should remove test.go. So if I do a get over here, we'll see that test.go is now gone. So that's kind of a nice little thing. Just an illustration for how this system works. Oh, whoops. We need to put this here. Ebiton put. Okay, there we go. So another thing that we want to do here is we can show how we can create a new file here. And oh, actually, let's just create a new window. So if I say type in win and middle click it, that will open up essentially a terminal. I can also type in, go build if I can spell, and that will build the project as well. And I can type all the normal commands I would want to do in a terminal and get the output of it. Also notice that since this is emulating a Plan 9 terminal, there are going to be some characters that are kind of not part of the terminal, but that's fine. Okay, so those are some of the quirks that it has. There's some other things, a few more things, scrolling. So I can scroll using a normal mouse wheel, but I can also scroll by clicking the scroll bar. So if I left click, that scrolls up. If I right click, it scrolls down. So you cannot drag like you normally would in a normal scroll bar. The other thing that's interesting is that the where you put your mouse actually controls how much you scroll. So if you put it near the top, you'll scroll by a little. If you put it near the bottom, you'll scroll by a lot. The further you put it down, the more it'll scroll. So that's actually a very interesting part of it. So let's see. Those are the major features that I've used. There's a bunch of other features that are part of Acme, and I would recommend trying it out if you want to learn those. The other thing, I guess my ideas or my thoughts about these things. So on the whole, I actually like Acme text editor, but I'll start with the things. I'll start with the things I like. So I like it in general. I like how everything is text. I like how I can just essentially customize Acme however I want. I can move things around. I can create new columns. I can create a bunch of columns. I also like how essentially everything, there are no overlapped windows. Everything is essentially a tiled window manager, which was created in the early 90s. That's pretty amazing. I like how I can have a terminal here. I like how I can just resize all of these things. I like how I can maximize a file just by right-clicking that and bring back the others, which are minimized with just left-click. I like all of that. Let's see. There is, that's about it. And then for the things that I don't like that the color scheme is fixed. It's built into the binary. If you want to change it, you have to change the source code and compile it again. I don't like how the font is also fixed at the time of loading Acme. So for me to use a different font than the default font, I have to start Acme and then say what font I want to start it with using the -F switch. And the font, so you can't actually change the font size or the font face itself while you're running Acme. You have to restart Acme to do that. So I don't really like that. I also don't like how there's no keyboard shortcuts. So if I place the cursor here, I can use the left and right arrows to move the cursor around. But if I use the up or down arrows, that will move the file up and down, not the cursor. Also, there's a bunch of keyboard shortcuts that just don't exist that you that you normally would think of. So for example, if you hold shift, normally you can highlight things by using left and right. And if you hold shift control, you can highlight by word. And that just doesn't happen here. There's no keyboard shortcuts for control for cut, copy, and paste. You have to use the mouse, right? And use these commands, either snarf or use multiple keyboard or multiple mouse commands, right? So for example, I can cut something by highlighting it and then with the left mouse button. And if I keep the left mouse button down and middle click, that will cut. And if I hold the left mouse button down and right click, that will paste. So there's mouse chording to control all of these things, but I wish there were keyboard shortcuts. And so that's about it for my dislikes. So as far as an overview of the whole thing, overall I like it. I would say that if it had, there's no syntax highlighting either. I wish there was syntax highlighting, at least just for comments. Because if you have a multi-line comment, let's say I have a large multi-line comment that spans bigger than than a window. In fact, if I have multiple windows open and, I can only see a small part of the code, there's no way for me to tell if this code is inside a big multi-line comment or not. And so I wish there was syntax highlighting for comments, at least for comments. In fact, if I had syntax highlighting, I would only have it for comments. I really don't need it or want it for anything else, but I must have it for comments. So that's, so my general overview, I do like it. In fact, I would say that if it had syntax highlighting and keyboard shortcuts, and especially Vim keyboard shortcuts as well, and customizable things, customizable theme and font and everything, if it had all those things, then it would probably be my favorite editor. It would be as close to a perfect editor as I could think of for me. And so yeah, that's why I would recommend trying out Acme and seeing what you like for yourself. You may learn about features that you want to add to your own programs. I always think it's a very good thing to try out new software. That's about it. I would say that after this, though, after I finish this breakout game, I'm going to switch back to Vim. Because it's still my favorite editor. It's still my favorite editor, and I'm just going to keep on using it until I find anything that's better. So that's about it. Until next time.